Okay, Rabotai. Parashat Vaera. I want to open up just a little bit what I spoke about if you were here Friday night in school. It says in the Parashat, it says that Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu to tell all the people that it's time to go. Go tell the people, we're getting out of here. What did Hashem tell Moshe to tell the people to do? He didn't tell them to do anything. He didn't say get up and go. He said, just tell them it's time to go. Hashem, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, is here, and we're leaving. And the Torah says, V'lo shami'u el Moshe. They didn't listen to him. Which is unbelievable. Like, why not? He didn't ask you to do anything. All he said is, it's Mashiach's here. Okay, Mashiach's here. Great. Well, what's so hard? That's the first thing we should be asking ourselves. Why not? Lo shami'u el Moshe. But then the Torah gives us the reason why they didn't listen to Moshe. Lo shami'u el Moshe mikotze ruach u'me'avodah kasha. Because of the kotze ruach, you can define short of breath, short of spirit, broken spirit. Someone told me yesterday, maybe in modern Israel, in modern Hebrew, they use it as laziness. What do they use it as? How do they use it these days?
Like no patience.
No patience or no motivation? No patience?
Yeah. This is the way I see it.
Yeah, they use that these days? Yeah. Someone told me yesterday they use it these days in Israel a little bit.
When you work and then somebody's coming and start talking to you about something, I'm just busy with your life.
Kotze ruach.
This is the way I see it.
U'me'avodah kasha, and from hard work.
That comes from
Exactly. Because of the hard work, they have this kotze ruach. We'll have to go just literal. From short spirit. They're short-spirited. So they can't hear Moshe.
Like people say, I'm busy for this.
No, not exactly. It's almost like that. Because I'm not asking you to learn Gemara. All I'm trying to say is the Gemara is wonderful. No, I can't hear it. Why not? I'm not asking you to do anything. There's no class tonight. There is a class Wednesday. No, can't hear you. Why? He didn't even ask them to do anything. And so there's a Mesilat Yesharim that says unbelievable. He says in chapter 2, he says one of the main strategies of the Yetzer Hara to trip us up, Hashem gives him the power to keep us endlessly busy. Endlessly busy. We're always busy. It never stops. And the Yetzer Hara does this on purpose. If it's not one thing, it's the next thing. Because he knows, says the Mesilat Yesharim, he knows that if we just had a few seconds to stop and just think, we would think about where we're coming from. We would think about where we want to go. What is the object? What is the point, the objective of being here? And then immediately we will change our lives for the better. And so he cannot have that. It says that Mesilat Yesharim, this strategy of the Yetzer Hara is the exact strategy of Paro Melech Mitzrayim. It is a strategy of Paro in Egypt. Last week, when Moshe says to Paro, it's time to set the people free, what does he answer? Tichbad ha'avodah. Turn up the work. The second you start even thinking about freedom, we turn up the work. I'll make you busier and busier and busier. And I quoted on Friday night, I didn't quote, I just paraphrased the diary of Frederick Douglass. Has anybody here read it? You know who he is? Yeah. Frederick Douglass was a slave. He was an African-American slave. And he was a brilliant guy. And he wrote a diary about everything that was happening. He broke out. He escaped. And he actually ran when he went to the North and in non-slave state. He ran and he was in politics. He was in government. And he writes in his diary, it's fascinating. I had to read it for one of my college classes. It's a fascinating diary. Some of those parts are really hard to read. And there's one part that immediately I think of every time I read this pasuk, Mikotze ruach me'avodat kasha, and I'm going to read it to you because I printed it out because I want to use his words. I'm just going to take a few sentences out, so it's not very long. Well, it's kind of long, but listen to his words. This is, I think the name of the book is A Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. I think that's what he called the book. I'm not sure exactly. You can Google it. He writes, the holidays are part and parcel of the gross fraud, wrong, and inhumanity of slavery. Holidays, when they have off. I undertake to say it is one of the grossest frauds committed upon the downtrodden slave. Why would the day off be worse than the day on? This will be seen by the fact that the slaveholders like to have their slaves spend those days just in such a manner as to make them as glad of their ending as of their beginning. What does this mean? Their object seems to be to disgust their slaves with freedom on their days off. How do they do this? By plunging them into the lowest depths of dissipation. For instance, the slaveholders not only like to see the slave drink of his own accord, alcohol, but will adopt various plans to make him drunk. Meaning, on their days off, Sundays and holidays, alcohol time for the slaves. One plan is to make bets on their slaves as to who can drink the most whiskey without getting drunk. And in this way, they succeed in getting whole multitudes to drink to excess. Thus, when the slave asks for virtuous freedom, the cunning slaveholder, knowing his ignorance, cheats him with a dose of vicious dissipation, artfully labeled with the name of liberty. Meaning, you want to be free? 100%. On Sunday, you will be 100% free. You know what free people do? We go to the bar and drink. And so have a drink. It's free. On me. Have a bottle. Have more. The most of us used to just drink it down. And the result was just what might be supposed. Many of us were led to think that there was little to choose between liberty and slavery. We felt, and very properly too, that we had almost as well be slaves to man as to rum. There never stopped being a slave. So when the holidays ended, we staggered up from the filth of our wallowing, took a long breath, and marched back to the field, feeling upon the whole rather glad to go from what our master has deceived us into believing was freedom, back into the arms of slavery. Exactly what Paro did. You have slavery of the body and you have slavery of the mind. You can't break out of your physical slavery until you first break out of the mental slavery. And you can't break out of the mental slavery if you can't stop and think for a second. And so if you're constantly busy, you're never going to even know what freedom is. And how did the slaveholders go about this? They had to give them off Sunday. They're not machines. They're people. They'll drop dead if they work 7 days a week. So we'll give them off Sunday, and we're going to intoxicate them with tons of alcohol. They'll go from slavery to me to slavery to the bottle. They won't even be able to think about real freedom. The next day, they're back to being slaves of mine. Now, this really affects me on a bunch of levels. Because number one, it's true. It's nonstop. And it's getting worse with technology. We don't have a minute to breathe. And even when actual work is over, mandatory work, we voluntarily use our phones all day long to add more stimulus. So we never stop. So we don't ever stop and think. Where are we going? Are we slaves? Number one. We're slaves to our boss. We're slaves to our phone. We're slaves to everything. We're slaves to everything. So we don't have a chance to think. Well, what do we want to do in life? I'm always envious, and my wife thinks I'm absolutely nuts. I always tell her, I really, really wished that I lived free electricity. I really do, honestly. I know there's drawbacks. I wouldn't have what I had now, but when you go home from work, first of all, when the sun sets, work's over. How could you work in the dark? Right? So when the sun sets, work's over. And what do you do all night? Yeah, light a candle, read a book. That sounds like vacation to me.
Amish people.
Amish. And what do we do? What do we do now? We never stop. We don't know when's day, when's night. And that's a parode to them. Don't think. No thinking is allowed. But then on the other level, it really, really bothers me. Because if the slaveholders were intoxicating their slaves on the one day off they had a week with alcohol, how are we Jews, Orthodox Jews, any different? Aren't we doing the same thing? Go to any shul. We're not. Are we? Are we not doing the same thing?
Uh,
Who drinks more than Orthodox Jews?
uh,
Who drinks more than Orthodox Jews?
uh,
The more from the shul, the more alcohol there is. The less from the shul, the less alcohol there is. It's absolutely true. Huh?
They just have just a little bit.
Not for everyone. It bothers me. Because how many guys... Who invented this Kiddush Club? Who invented this?
People who don't want to give their own.
So what happens after? So Hashem gives us one day a week to stop and think about what we're doing. And before we even have a chance to get home from shul, we're already drunk. And then what? Option A, option B. Option A, turn into three options. Option A, sleep it off for the rest of the day. Wake up and you're back to slavery on Monday. That's just like the slaves. Option B, keep on drinking through the day, become a maniac, and abuse your family. We'd be kidding. We can't lie to ourselves. There are monsters amongst us.
Right, but
Not everyone is.
I think that this is very small. But
I don't think it's very small. I get a lot of phone calls. I get some phone calls, and I'm a nobody. I get some phone calls that'll make you like, it breaks your heart from women. I'm just being honest with you. On my side of the table, I had a woman call me one time. She said, I need you to talk in your shiur. This is not now, so right, this is a while ago. I need you to say something in your shiur. We went to this family's house for lunch on Shabbat, and the guy was absolutely disgusting. We thought he was gonna like beat his wife. Like he was treated her like a piece of trash. Comes home from shul. Can everyone handle the alcohol? Not everyone is a monster, but to say there are no monsters amongst us, and they're not monsters. But the system, Kiddush Club, drink, and then we go back, drink more.
I think that I've seen it, and I think that people that exactly what you said, that this lady said, they see it, they're more disgusted. They never.
Boy, do I wish you were right. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why and when alcohol became so intertwined with Judaism. Maybe it's to numb the pain. I don't know. What do you say? We drink a lot of alcohol. I have non-Jewish coworkers, and they look at me and they say, "You guys drink a lot." We do. I had my first scotch when I was like 6 years old.
And
Who said yain is scotch? Who said yain is scotch? Yain is red wine. It's American also. Am I wrong? Am I missing this?
No, you're not. You're absolutely not. You're absolutely not.
What do you got?
Because I've seen it, my son-in-law and his kids. El Shabbat, he will do that for sleep, when it should be just red one. And I object to it.
The ladies.
Oh, so I've experienced it.
What do you got?
It's like any the mundane person to be spiritual. Spirit is supposed to be this. But like anything else, it should be in moderation, be carefully. But I think that there is something to what you're saying. Something of a novelty and a state of mind that you get this way, you get a little bit overboard. But and then say that it's really not a big deal, but when it comes to these things, it has to be, someone has to, the family has to overstep. This is not what the L'chaim is about.
I agree.
And I do agree that it's growing from.
You go to any show. Oh my God. Purim. Do we need to talk about Purim? It's out of control. I don't know what
Then it's with a few of them that will over.
that's what you see.
Oh, good day. Boring.
And so that's what I'm saying. There's three options. Either A,
Growing problem, that's what
they sleep it off. But if you slept it off, you just slept away your freedom. Now you never thought about being free this week. Now is the time. That's called serua. Kasha. Or two, you come home, you're a month, you drink more.
But, boring, and the lawyer down. But where is the...
I'll give you Purim if you give me the other 353 days of the year.
Okay. What about the rest?
All I know is this, Mordechai. When you see a red, when there's smoke, there's fire. When you see a red flag, when you see a warning sign, you say something's wrong here. So Kiddush Club, you're leaving in the middle of davening. In the middle of tefillah, you're going to have a drink. Is that even kiddush? Like, besides for the halachic problems with this, that's not even kiddush. The fact that you're leaving the tefillah in the middle, is this yetzer tov or yetzer ra? So you're already starting down the wrong path. It bothers me. I don't know, it really bothers me.
I've seen that our school, I think the really put the end to it. You guys can do whatever you want after the serve.
Yeah.
You showing exactly that. You show other people what can we do. So one at a time.
I agree.
Comes the board, and then all of a sudden the whole show will be normal like that, and they're not going to the wall.
Right, but besides for that, it's the people.
Yeah.
In general, I'm not a fan of attacking policy. I rather attack what the problem, the source of the problem. So I'm not telling you what to do, but like, why are you doing this?
How can you do it?
It bothers me. It's called Teruach Navodah Kasha. And this is exactly, that's choice. You're choosing a new master. And so back to the topic of thinking about freedom. Our rabbis, our religion has given us times in the day and times in the week where we stop and we think. That's all we have because it doesn't exist. Meditation. Who meditates anymore? Meditation. Now I saw last year or so they said they wanted to they don't do prayers in public school anymore, right? There's no more, or pledging of allegiance is gone. They want to bring meditation now, they said. A couple of seconds. All right. Let the kids stop for 1 second and think. So tefillah is meditation. Prayer is meditation. That's good. Shabbat is a day of the week, which is meditation, which is good. Stop and think. There's one more layer to this, which is, it's going to be bad for all of us, including myself. The Havetz Haim, the Rambam, in the Moreh Nebuchim, he says, is it a coincidence that the greatest leaders we had were shepherds? Moshe Rabbeinu, David HaMelech, for example. And Rambam writes in his Moreh Nebuchim, he says there's a great benefit from spending lots of time alone from other people. You're out there in the pasture with your sheep, no one to talk to. And that's how you become a great person. And the Rambam writes, there's a big benefit to living in small villages as opposed to big cities. Rabbi Avigdor Miller talks about this a lot in his books as well. Live in a small village, so at least the valley, not the city. There's too much going on for you to stop, think, meditate, and grow. Hafez Haim writes as well, when Sodom was destroyed, Lot, he was with Avraham in the pasture. Lot was a good guy initially, as a shepherd. What was his downfall? He moved to Sodom. He moved to Vegas. When Sodom was destroyed, he asked the Malach, please, spare me. And what did he say? Halo mitz'adhi. I see a little city there called Mitz'ad. Halo mitz'adhi, uthin nafshi imaletana, uthin nafshi. Let me go run. Mitz'ad means small. This is a small village. Imaletana, let me go run there, uthin nafshi, and my soul will live, says the Hafez Haim. Lot was saying, my downfall was living in a big city. I promise you, if I go live in a small village, I'm going to soar spiritually. It's good for me. Says the Hafez Haim, the benefit of living in a small village as opposed to a big city. It's all the same theme. Less going on, more time to think. And so these days, with all the technology that we have, maybe when we're driving, we should turn off the radio. Turn off. Even the shi'ud maybe. Just think. Some time to think. Where are we going? Where are we coming from? It's very healthy. I'm guilty as anyone of this. As I said Friday night, one of my favorite sayings from Yerushalayim Salanter, I love this one. I've said it so many times. Someone asked Yerushalayim Salanter, who was the founder of the Musar movement, he said, I only have 15 minutes to study a day. That's all I got. What should I study? Gemara, Halacha, what do you want me to do? And he answered him, studying Musar, right? I've said this a lot of times. It's a famous one. Studying Musar. Because if you study Musar for 15 minutes, you're going to learn you really have 3-4 hours to study. You need the space of just thinking about yourself to open up and say, I have a lot of time in my life. Now, this is not halachic. Hakam says you have to study halakha. You got to know what to do in your life. But the concept is very appropriate. And so therefore, we have to fight as hard as we can to fight against this. That we should have time to think and meditate. The drink, I don't know what to do about the drink. It bothers me. It really bothers me. It's too much. Mordecai, it's too much. Al-Chaim, as she said. Al-Chaim is Al-Chaim. That's it. Okay. I just want to bring also this amazing haftarah that we said yesterday. The haftarah that we said yesterday was from Ezekiel, and it's talking about the downfall of Egypt, which is interesting. I don't have it with me, but that's okay. The haftarah, Yehezkel, Hashem says, Egypt is going to get payback like you never saw. They're going to get destroyed. Weren't they already destroyed? I mean, we're in the process of destroying them right now. The answer is thanks. The answer is Egypt, we're not done with Egypt. Hashem's going to punish them again and again. The Gemara says in Sotah that Egypt had to drink a cup. In the prophets, you know this, Akiva, in the prophets, they always refer to punishment as a cup. Drinking like a cup of poison. That's a punishment. And so there's 3 cups. Yeah, exactly. There are 3 cups of poison that Egypt will drink. The first cup, as Gemara Sotah says, was back in Mitzrayim when we got out, the 10 plagues in the sea. That was the first cup of poison, but they were not done. 2 more. 2 more. It wasn't enough. The second one is if you look in Kings, we try to have Egypt help us against the king of Babel. And Egypt told us they would, and then they stabbed us in the back and didn't help us. Hashem said they're going to be punished for that. That's the second cup of poison. And then there's a third cup of poison. When is that? Mashiach. Look at the Gemara Sotah. The Gemara Sotah says, page 9. It's an interesting Gemara, also fascinating Gemara. I love it. Gemara says, in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rabbi Hanina Bar Papa says, in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nifra min ha'umah, ad sha'at shiluheha. Interesting Gemara. Hashem doesn't punish a country until he lets them build up a bunch of debt, spiritual debt, and then he just wipes them away. He lets them have the good times, and then he just destroys the country. One shot. That's what it says in the Gemara. And the Gemara says, really? Hashem punishes a country one shot, destroys them, not in parts? Is this true? Rabba says, there are 3 cups for Mitzrayim. Where are the 3 cups in Mitzrayim? When the butler had his dream about the cup of Paro, he said the cup of Paro 3 times. Why did he say that 3 times? And so 3 cups of Paro is the 3 cups of poison Paro was going to get. Even his dream had a meaning for Paro. Rashi and Gemara Pesachim, Rashi brings down that the 4 cups we have Birkat Hamazon on the Seder of Pesach, 3 of them are for the cups of Paro. The last one is Birkat Hamazon. The second to last one, Birkat Hamazon. We have a cup for Birkat Hamazon. The other 3 cups are the cups of the butler's dream. So the butler's dream was 3 cups of poison. And where are these 3? Aha, sheshatat b'mei Moshe. They drink already 1 cup with the exodus of Moshe. And they drink 1 cup with Paro Necho, which I told you, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babel, destroyed Egypt when they backstabbed us. And the last one is that she's going to drink Atida lishtot im habroteha. Egypt's going to drink the last cup with all of her friends and the end of days. That's what the Gemara says. So there's 1 more. They're not done. Imagine Egypt, we're not done punishing them. They have, why? Why so strict on Egypt? The Gemara says forward. So top page 9. Says the Gemara, maybe Egypt was, so initially the Gemara said, countries are punished in 1 shot. They said, really? That's not true. Because we just said there's 3 cups. So top page 9. Yeah. There are 3 cups. That means Egypt was punished in 3 stages. The Gemara said, maybe even though the name Egypt remained, it's not the same Egypt from old. Which is an interesting thought. Egypt now, is it the same Egypt of Mitzrayim? Are they considered the same people of Mitzrayim? Or do we say they were destroyed once, more people moved in? Yeah, politically it's still called Egypt, but it's not the same Egypt as Mitzrayim. And so when they did something wrong, they got punished again. But their punishment was one and done. So maybe these guys are gone. Maybe you're going to say, really, the people in Egypt, they got punished in full. New people moved in, and they have a new ledger. And so the original thought still stands. A country is punished 1 shot. And I said, no, you can't say that. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda says, there was a guy by the name of Minyamin. Like Binyamin, just a mem instead of a bet. Minyamin, the Egyptian convert, Minyamin Ger HaMitzri. There was a convert from Egypt. His name was Minyamin. And he says, Rabbi Yehuda says, he was my friend. Hayali Habed, Mitamideh Rabbi Akiva. He was one of the students of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva had a student from Egypt, a convert. And what did Minyamin say? Ani Mitzri. I'm Egyptian, 1st generation Jew, because I converted myself. Now, it says in the Sefer Devarim, it says, you cannot marry an Egyptian convert for 3 generations. The 3rd generation can go in. Right? So that most converts can come in right away. A convert can marry someone. But an Ammoni and a Mitzri, an Egyptian, they have a special punishment for what they did to us. They have to wait. So if there's an Egyptian convert, they have to marry another Egyptian convert. And then have kids, and then those kids marry the kids of another Egyptian convert, and then they're free to go. So Binyamin says he did this. Ani mitri rishon, I'm first generation. V'nasati mitri rishona, so I found a Egyptian woman convert, and I married her. V'asi libni, and my son is going to marry a second generation Egyptian woman, so that the grandchildren are free to go. That's it. It's a 2-generation penalty. And so therefore, what is it proving to us? Says the Gemara. When it says don't marry an Egyptian convert, the Egyptians now, are those the same Egyptians that Pasuk is talking about? They're talking about the Egyptians of biblical times. Maybe these are new people. Egypt right now, the Egypt we have right now, is that the same Egypt as we had in Mitzrayim? If someone comes from Egypt right now and converts, can they marry your kid? Or you go, so no, look at my Bible. It says in the Bible, you cannot marry an Egyptian convert for 3 generations. That's the question. And by the same token, when it says Egypt will be punished again, who's going to be punished again? Is it Egypt right now? Because they're pretty good right now. The Egypt, they're not bad. Oh, could be a lot worse. Yeah, it could be, I don't know about good, but could be a lot worse. Are they going to be the ones wiped out? Does that mean that before this whole thing ends and Mashiach comes, something's going to have to happen with Egypt?
Maybe the essence.
Maybe the essence is there?
Yes.
Or the opposite. Maybe the Egyptian essence is somewhere else because the people moved. How do we know if within the borders, it's in the boundaries of the country, it's still the same country as the Bible? Binyamin comes in the time of Talmud Bavli, a long time later, and he says, no, I am not allowed to marry a Jew. He held, I'm the same Egyptian as Paro's Egyptian. Rabbi Akiva says, he was a student of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, Binyamin, you're too strict on yourself. A long time. How many times? When was the Gemara written?
So the Egyptians maybe has the essence spread in the inside because they feel proud of his ancestors. Maybe they have.
Are they the same people? Are they the same genealogical DNA?
The same idea. The idea persists.
So again, Akiva, if an Egyptian man comes right now and converts, he says, where are you from? He's an Egyptian citizen. Can he marry a Jewish woman? Or does he have to have that penalty?
Is the law?
But who was the law said about? That's the question.
I know.
And so let's see the answer.
But they don't.
So Binyamin, who is Egyptian himself, said, no, it says in your Bible, you can't marry me. I'm not marrying you. I'm going to wait. Binyamin was strict on himself. Rabbi Akiva, the Rebbe of Binyamin, said, you're making a mistake, Binyamin. Why? I'm not going to say the whole story now, but there's a famous story between Rabbi Yehoshua and Rabban Gamliel. We could do another time. Rabban Gamliel, we actually mentioned them. These are the 2 rabbis from the boat story last week. Remember the boat story? They were on a boat. One had bread, one had flour.
Yeah.
They have a history, these 2 rabbis. So we can't do the whole story now. We'll save it. But they had a mahloket. An Ammoni came to convert. It says, Lo yavo Ammoni. Ammon is one of the nations we're not allowed to accept them because they were really mean to us. And so an Ammoni came to convert. Rabban Gamliel said, you're not allowed to convert. You're an Ammoni. You're from Ammon. Rabbi Yehoshua says, Ammon is gone. It's over. I don't care if this country Ammon, it says on the map Ammon. These guys are not the same guys that they were there. Sanherib, the kings, they mixed up all the people. There's refugees. Look now, there's refugees. As we know, Palestinians are not Palestinians, right? They're Jordanian. Jordan is fresh. Those people in Jordan, when they moved there? 75 years, 50 years ago? No, not long ago. I don't care what country it says you're from. The whole world is mixed up now. Halakha follows Rabbi Yehoshua, which means everyone is considered a big chalent, a big mixture. And we have a halakha, if we don't know where you're from, you go by the majority. If you have 3 pieces of steak one of them is for sure not kosher, two of them are for sure kosher, and they look exactly the same, you eat them all. Because each steak on its own has a majority chance of being kosher. And so therefore, the halakha now, halakha follows Rabbi Yehoshua. If someone comes from Egypt, we say, I don't know if you're from Egypt. You're from the world. Most of the world is kosher to be a convert, and so you're allowed in. And you can marry a Jew right away. Rabbi Adaro mentioned him yesterday. When I mentioned this to him, he said, are you going to talk about Amalek? I said, it's a whole nother story. When we say someone's from Amalek, first of all, there is no Amalek passport now. If someone would come and say Amalek passport, would we say the same thing? I don't know where you're from. You're from the world. Most of the world is not Amalek. And so therefore, we know two things. We know that Rabbi Yehoshua is correct, and Egypt, as it is now, is not considered the same Egypt as it was before. But we also know there's a third cup of poison coming for Egypt. And my question is, who's getting that cup? Where are these? Who is Egypt? Is Egypt Egypt? Is Egypt Iran? Sign the deal. I don't know where Egypt is. But the prophet yesterday in the Haftarah promises a third cup of punishment.
What is the idea of Egypt about us?
What is so bad about Egypt specifically?
This is the point.
This is it. You have the answer?
No,
Here's the answer.
I know
That's the question. What did they do so bad that there's another cup coming for them? We can't. Their ledger is not finished. They still owe a debt. A lot of people have persecuted us. You want to hear the answer? It's in the Haftarah yesterday. It says in the Haftarah, Hashem gives the reason. Everyone will know when I punish Egypt. Kwa Amar Hashem. By the way, I said this yesterday. Uncle, you were there when I said it. It says here, the day will come when Egypt will be punished, and Israel will dwell in security. V'yashivu labetah. We will dwell in security. There will be no worries. Ubanu batim, we will build houses and plant vineyards. V'yashivu labetah. It says again, we will dwell in security. It's really pounding home, dwelling in security. The Ben Ish Chai says, what's with this word betach? It keeps saying you will have security. Betach. He says, take the letters betach, bet, tet, and het. Ches. Bet, tet, and het. If you spell each letter out in full, how is a bet spelled? Bet, yud, taf. That's spelled bet. Spell the letter in full. The next letter of betach, tet. Spell tet. Tet, yud, taf. Spell the next one, het. Het, yud, taf. If you want to spell each letter, it's the same ending for all three letters. Yud and taf. 410. That's exactly the numerical value of the word kadosh. So betach is 3 times kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. Each letter is kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. Says the Ben Ish Chai. The Yetzer Hara, he wants to knock us down. He wants to knock us out of Israel, one level, out of the Beit HaMikdash, which they did. Out of Jerusalem, that's 2. Out of Israel, that's 3. Out, out, out. We want to go up, up, up. And therefore, when we say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh in Shul, we jump up. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. We jump up. We're going back inside. 1, 2, 3. 3 jumps back. Says the Ben Ish Chai, a midrash. The midrash brings a parable. The midrash says, I'm not really sure exactly how the parable fits, but I'll tell you the parable. The midrash says there was a guy from Jerusalem, a Jew, a Yid. He goes to a motel, a bed and breakfast out of town in a non-Jewish area. And he orders dinner, and they feed him dinner. And he says, okay, it says over here, there are rooms available for lodging. I want to stay here. He says, no, there's nothing available. We don't want you here. He says, what do you mean? I want to stay here. The guy begs him. He says, why can't I be here? Other people are sleeping here. So he says, okay, this is the custom in where we live. I don't know where you come from. Where we live, the custom is, if you want to stay for the night, you have to jump 3 times. You have to jump there, which is halfway to the restaurant, and then jump there, and then jump out the door. That's what he tells them. Take 3 jumps. And so what does the good yid do? What does the good yid? No, the good yid says, "Can you explain me? Demonstrate for me how you do this. I don't know. I don't really understand." So he says, "Look like this." He jumps 1, 2, 3, locks the door behind him. Have a nice night. I'm in. Says the Ben Shai. Said the Ben Shai, we have to do the set to the Satan, to Yetzirah, exactly what he wants to do to us. You want to take us back? We're going to jump up 3. Get out of here. And we lock the door behind him. Bet Yod Ta. Bet Tet Het. Betach, securely. We want to live securely. And it's going to happen when Egypt goes down. Akiva, what did Egypt do so bad? He says, why will I do it? Anyone from Egypt will know once I punish them, Hashem, that I am Hashem, Ya'am, because Heotam Mish'anit Kaneh Lebet Israel. They were a Mish'anit Kaneh. A Mish'anit Kaneh is a cane that a person walks on. Because they were a cane for us, they're going to be punished severely. Says the prophet Yehezkel further, Betofsam becha bakaf terutz. When they held you in their hand, the cane in their hand, and the palm, you snapped. You broke. Ubakata lehen kol katef, and you broke their shoulders. Which means Egypt has always been the one to say, come with us, we'll help you out. We'll be your partners in peace. We'll take care of you. We'll help you. We're one. Be good citizens. There's enemies. We have plenty of enemies. They tell us exactly who they are. They can't stand us. They want us gone. We're not leaning on them. We don't rely on them for nothing. There are other enemies who say, lean on us. We'll help you out. Yeah, we'll assist you. We'll help you in the peace process. We have stimulus. We have money. We have finances. We'll help you with weapons. Okay, they're a cane of support. Lean on the cane. You lean on the cane, you realize it's not really a cane of support. The thing will snap in 2 seconds. You lean on them too hard, you fall on the ground, you break your shoulder. Says Yehezkel, that's what you did wrong. You're fakers. And we keep trusting you, Egypt. We came there and trusted the king with Yosef. We came there again in Shemuel and Kings, and we trusted them again, and they stab us in the back. Because my sons rely on you, and every time they lean on you, you break. You're a fake support system. That's not acceptable. And you're going to go, we're not done with you. And so the 3rd cup has to come. And look around the world today. We have enemies, and then who is this cane of support? Who is a cane that we can rely on? Mish'anit kaneh. Who can we lean on? Don't lean too hard. Don't lean too hard because they're gonna snap on you. We had 2 days. We had 2 days in the White House where it was pro-Israel. 2 days. We stand behind Israel. What happened to that? It snapped. If we lean too hard, we'll fall, break our shoulder. Hashem says He will not tolerate countries that do that to us. This is a national agenda, but there's also the personal agenda, which I said yesterday. We need to lean on people as well. Everyone needs someone, as the song goes. Bill Withers, yeah? Lean on me, right? We need to lean on people. It's hurtful. I was talking with a woman a few days ago, and she was telling me about a bad divorce that she had. Mordecai, I told you, these problems, they're out there. It's like sometimes there's more than I can shoulder. It's painful. I need therapy just for hearing people's stories. And she was telling me about a bad divorce she had, and she was crying, and she said 98% of her friends stabbed her in the back and left. She has 2 friends, she said, 2. That's it. Everyone else is gone. And so we need people to lean on. One day we're up, one day we're down. But sometimes we lean on people and they're there for us, and other people they're not there for you. You find out all this time you were mish'anet kaneh, you were fake. I thought I could trust you. I thought I can lean on you when I need you, and you're not there for me. But then you spin it around, and that's the hard part. Who's leaning on me? Not now. Who sees me as someone they can lean on in the future? And will I be there for them? Here's another story for you. It's all coming, not all coming out today, but here's another one for you. I had a woman come over to me last night. Last night. She needs a husband. I don't have a Rolodex of husbands. I don't have. Adina, you're a gem. You have one? Okay, we gotta talk afterwards. I don't even have this woman's number. I don't even know how she comes. She's expecting me to find her a husband 30. Oh no. She's 30. I don't have a Rolodex of husbands in my pocket. And so I was as nice as I could. I said, I only have one guy in mind, another guy, you're 30, where are you from? And then she looked like she was going to cry. And I went home feeling broken. And I told my wife when I got home, I feel so horrible inside because I'm just trying to imagine the courage it took her to muster up, to walk over to this man. She's never came over to me before. It could have been months or weeks, and I'm going over to him and asking him, he's going to help me. He's going to find me a husband. And she finally comes there, and I had nothing for her. Am I not a mish'ainit kaneh? Who's looking to me for help? And when they need me, am I there for them? It's not easy. And so it goes both ways. And so I'm doing my own homework now. My own meditation, saying, who can I lean on? And I have some people I've needed, and I have some people that I've needed, and a good friend stepped up for me, and another good friend didn't step up for me. We're humans. Who do I lean on? Who do I look at as someone I can lean on? But more importantly, who can lean on me? And am I ready? So I told my wife last night, I said, it feels so horrible. I should have in my pocket a list of men. I should have a list of men in my pocket or a list of women, because what if the next time someone comes to me and I'm their last hope, I'm not going to be ready to be a good support system? I can't live like that. And so the last bit of homework is the drinking's got to go. I'm sorry. The drinking's got to go. But besides for the drinking, the meditation, we think about where we are, where we're coming from, where we're going, who's leaning on us, who might lean on us tomorrow. Are we ready? Are we going to be there for someone? Or the second a relationship, a friend that we've had for 30 years comes to us and decides to cash in the check, are we going to run for the hills? Oh, now they want my money. Now it's business. One time I needed some money, and I had a guy I'm very tight with, and I said, I could really use some cash. In 1 second, it's just business. Like, are we friends anymore after this? I don't know. It's like business. I didn't take it. I didn't take $1. I said, no, thank you. I'm looking for a cane I can lean on. And there's another one out there. And so people are leaning on us. Who is it? I don't know. There's definitely going to be either now or in the future in our lives, someone can rely on. It's not only money, it's anything. Don't be like Egypt. Who is Egypt? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Someone's getting a third cup of poison. If you're Minyamin, it's Egypt proper. That would be interesting. And now when I hear the politics, I'm like, is Egypt going to get involved now? Because according to Minyamin, Egypt's Egypt. Or maybe Egypt is someone else, but it's coming. We'll find out. Yeah. So the first cup, so according to what we can understand from Yehezkel, the first cup was directly payback for the enslavement in Egypt. So they got immediate payback. In Kings, in chapter 17, I think, in Kings, yes, in Kings 2, chapter 17, there's a story that we went to Egypt for help. They said they would help us. They stabbed us in the back. They got paid back right away. The third cup is just for being a fake king. He doesn't even say when. It seems like throughout the years. When is that payback coming? Mashiach, says the Gemara. And who is it coming to? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see.
But Egypt is the only anxious culture or kingdom is still in the same place. And we
I
have
was
the
thinking about that as
and
well.
we have the
So
three,
true.
we have the three big monuments to say here is the place.
It's true. Think
Here
about
is
it.
the place.
He's right. Who is still around from the biblical
It's the
times?
only one.
It's us in Egypt.
Even Babel.
It's us in
not there.
Egypt. Yeah,
Even Babel is
it's
not there.
very true, Akiva. And that's why Minyamin, the Egyptian, there could be something to what he's saying. He's like, listen, it's still us. But they're not acting like that now. But that could be the point.
But-
Egypt now can be the Mish'enet Kanin. And then who knows if they're going to turn around and stab us in the back. Don't trust them too far. It's fascinating. It's happening now in front of our eyes. We'll find out. Just don't trust anyone more than you can throw them, including America. Although we love America.
They said this the day before. It's a red flag that we're going to take the Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was reading last night about the Philadelphia line, and there's mines under them, I read also.
Everything comes from there.
If you hold like Minyamin and Akiva, that Egypt now is Akiva of old, look out for Egypt, because they got to go down before this all happens. Could be. We'll find out. Have a nice week. Yalla. My pleasure.